It's the kind of game that if you're a casual hockey fan, it's why you love the sport. And it's also the kind of hockey game that if you're a Nashville Predators fan, makes you run towards the nearest liquor cabinet. The Predators have a wild win over the Vancouver Canucks. We'll break that down, plus minus from the past week of Preds hockey, coming up today on the Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast that's available on all platforms and on YouTube. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writer and editor on theforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Ann Kimmel. I am a writer and editor at InsideThePreds.com.
And today's show is being sponsored by the sound effect, the losing horn from The Price is Right, the bum, bum, ba, bum. Wow. Who have signed on to be the official sound effect of any Bo Horvat shootout attempt from here on out. Any shootout attempt, no matter what happens, will always be preceded by the bum, 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 bum. Wow. Which, seemed to be pretty fitting for how that game ended for the Vancouver Canucks perspective, I guess.
Yeah, this was, I don't even know what happened. That was 65 minutes of what in the ever-loving flag knock is going on here, you know, and the ending, such a perfect cherry on top of a what the flag knock kind of game.
Yeah. It felt like this was like a Ted Lasso produced Nashville Predators game. It's like, you have to have that little bit of everybody hates each other. Everything's in disarray, and then like just at the end, just at the wildest way, you find ways to win the game.
Yeah, that was exactly it. And look, here's what's real, friends. Nobody thought this was going to be a game that the Nashville Predators found a way to win until well into the third period, because the Predators were down 3-0 after the first. The Predators were down 2-0 after 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So not ideal. Jordan Gross got the Predators back in it, and they went into take a minute and just feel the karma of this. They went into the third period down 3-1. What is it about 3-1 in the third period with the Nashville Predators so far? Now, turned out okay. Predators tied it up, went to overtime. That was a whole thing. That was 5 minutes of utter chaos. The Predators had possession most of the time, which was kind of nice. But nothing happened.
It's wild if you look at the shot chart and be like, wait, the Predators had possession for most of this like third period?
This game was literally... It was the snow globe that you shake up and just chaos everywhere. And then a shootout that was just as bizarre as the whole 65 minutes before it. Y'all, you got your money's worth from this game unless you were a Vancouver Canucks fan. But like Nashville, it was excruciating. It was, wait a minute. It was, oh my gosh. It was, huh? And then it was a 4-3 shootout win.
I don't know how to describe this game. I'm glad it's not the morning after, so we don't have to do like one word.
There is no one word.
I can only imagine what that process would be like to figure out this game. But you know what? It's crazy. Like the Predators nowhere near played their best hockey of the season. It was, I think by the end of it, Vancouver outshot the Predators 45-30. Which that's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Anne, don't we have to give Nashville like a little bit of credit for finding a way to win this game? Like we talk about like the identity of the Nashville Predators is like against all odds, like finding ways to win, not necessarily do it the pretty way, but just find ways to like grit out random wins and steal points. And you can't say they didn't do that against the Canucks. Like
You
they
can't,
certainly found a way to win.
It was a win. There would be, if there were style points in hockey, the Nashville Predators would be -7 for how most of this game played out. But I do agree with you. And it's funny because I wonder if some in the Predators fan base are almost frustrated that the Predators got a win because they really they really did play poorly most of the time. But again, it's an 82-game season. And the bottom line is, if you walk out of an arena with 2 points, you've done something right. And for all of the things that went wrong in the game against Vancouver, the Predators did enough right to eke out a win. And like you said, this was like a claw it out by, the blood under your fingernails, scraping your way back into it. That was this kind of game. But in some ways, for me, it's almost more reassuring because one of the things that I've really been concerned about as I've watched the Predators is this whole mental resiliency thing. And I think, look, if you can go into the locker room after that first disaster of a period and find a way to kind of regroup, keep focused, continue to do what you need to do to claw your way back in a game and eventually get a shootout win, that's reassuring to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess there's definitely going to be a lot of people that are like, and I've seen this take before. It's like wins like these are just going to encourage David Poile or John Hines to stick with what they're going to do and not address any of the problems or anything like that. And I don't think either of them are looking at this game or the Edmonton game and being like, oh yeah, like, yay, look at, like, we came back. And I don't think they're going to be looking at that and being like, yeah, this is exactly the way we drew it up. I think they're going to know their shortcoming. I mean, the Predators definitely 100% have a lot of stuff they need to fix. Like, let's get that straight right now.
Sure.
But at the same time, these are 2 points. Like 2 points. Remember, 2 points wound up being the difference last year between the Predators making the playoffs and missing the playoffs. And so wins like these, I would rather sit here and talk about the Predators winning a game that they had no business winning than losing a game that they should have won, which happened a lot last season. So, you got to give some level of praise for them to find a way to win this with the most random assortment of heroes, which we're going to talk about plus minus, and Juuse Saros. Let's talk about Juuse Saros too, because that was, I thought he was going to get pulled. Like
I did too.
After that second goal, like at the end of the first intermission, like he looked bad. Like those were some bad goals. And then, after that second goal, he kind of settled in. He gave up that power play goal at the end of the first period, but was lights out the rest of the way. I mean, what can you say about a 42 save performance?
Yeah, the ending of this game was certainly not the same as the start of this game. And the start of this game for Juuse Saros was extremely concerning because the first goal that they scored was one of those goals that you think even at Ford Ice Center, you're going to see a goalie make that save. Yeah. Like it was a really bad. And here's the thing, Juuse Saros knows that. He knows he let one in and it wasn't great. He immediately then, within the first 4 minutes got scored on again on a rebound. So it was a really rough start. But like you said, Juuse Saros was peppered in that first period. The Predators kind of clawed their way back in the second. The third period, they finally got the shot advantage. But Saros did such a great job down the stretch, shutting it down. He had there were 5 power plays for Vancouver. They scored on the one in the first period, never got another goal in. And it sure was not for lack of trying because there were power plays that the Canucks ended up with 3, 4, 5, 6 shots on net. And Juuse Saros just was having none of it. So kudos to Saros for being able to do what I have to imagine are some serious mental gymnastics to turn just to kind of turn off that rough start and focus on what's coming. And he ended up having, a really strong game down the stretch. Especially, I thought he looked great in the shootout when the puck actually got to him. That part.
Yeah, I mean, still a little bit of work to do on his end, and our friend Brian Baston actually has an article coming out soon about Juuse Saros and his kind of slow starts to seasons, and it does seem like the past couple performances, at least, maybe he's finding ways to kind of dig himself out. That could be the turning point. That Vancouver game, the way he kind of played lights out down the stretch, like maybe that's what kind of gets him going. Some other players we want to highlight, a few unsung heroes for the Nashville Predators over the past couple weeks. We're going to talk about them coming up in this week's Plus Minus. But first, want to mention today's show is brought to you by Simply Safe. Do you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system, so that's more families can feel safe and secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Here is why people absolutely love Simply Safe. It was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify if a threat is real, so you can get priority police response. The 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. And with the top-rated Simply Safe app, you stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. You can arm or disarm, unlock for guests, access your cameras, or just adjust your settings. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system we recommend here at Locked On Predators. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/URL today. This is the biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/LockedOnNHL. Locked On NHL. There's simply no safe like Simply Safe. All right, Ann, it's time to get to our plus minus. You guys know how this works. We give pluses to the Nashville Predators players or things that deserve some kudos from this past week, and minuses to a few things we want to see improved. And lead us off with a plus.
Okay, so I am going to give a plus to two players. I'm going to combine it. I'm going to combine a plus. This is a package deal plus to two players that I did not anticipating plussing, at least at this point in the season. And that goes to Milwaukee Admirals call-ups Jordan Gross and Mark Jankowski. Yeah. Now, I would not have thought at this point in the season, the players getting the pluses, I would have thought, Duchesne, Juuse, Saros, because, these are our big guys playing big. Jordan Gross and Mark Jankowski came up from Milwaukee, from a Admirals team that's cooking with some grease to a Predators team that's kind of just still trying to gain their traction. And they were able to jump in and contribute right away. Mark Jankowski had a goal against the Calgary Flames. Jordan Gross, 2 goals in the Vancouver game. And here's what I want to give a plus, especially to Jordan Gross for, because the second goal that Vancouver scored was on a turnover that he had in the offensive zone. And it was one of those plays that was just not terrific. And that can mess with you. That can mess with the player. And he was really able to, I'm certain, feel frustrated about it and then move on and get his first 2 NHL goals against the Vancouver Canucks. So Jordan Gross, A, great job on the goals. B, great job staying in it, staying focused. And Mark Jankowski, this is a player who almost made the roster out of training camp and really proved why John Hines has had his eye on him for a while. And, So, like, let's hear it for the guys where we have to double check how you spell their names. Way to go.
Two points in 2 games for Jankowski, and then 2 goals for Jordan Gross. And to your point on Jordan Gross, that first period he played was bad, to the point that a lot of people were like, okay, where's Dante Fabro back in the lineup? Or, they were doing
Alexander Carrier,
they were doing that whole thing where it was like, okay, like you sent Cody Glass to the healthy scratch land for performances like this. Whereas Jordan Gross played his way out of it. Like he went back there after a couple of rough performances and absolutely went in, and then wound up basically kind of being the spark plug that won the game for the Nashville Predators. I mean, he brought the Preds back in it with a couple good offensive plays and some good defensive plays down the stretch too. So John Hines, if you're listening, thank you for giving Jordan Gross the opportunity to kind of play himself out of the bad start. Thank you for that. And please explain why you won't do that for other players on the Preds roster, because I'm very confused right now about what is happening. But hey, I guess credit where it's due.
All right, be a optimist here. Give us your plus from the week. Give us a good plus from the week.
I am going to give a shout out to the Preds penalty kill.
This
is a part of the game that I think is very, very underrated. One of the worst in the league after the start of the season, mostly just due to their torrid performance against the Dallas Stars. But they have climbed their way back up to 14th in the NHL, killing about 82.6% of their penalties. And there's a lot of penalties, so that is a pretty high percentage for the Nashville Predators. Look, Vancouver had plenty of chances. They did get one power play goal, but you're looking at this and, some of these games, they're, other teams' power plays like 0 for 3, 1 for 5. We'll forget about Edmonton. But then it'll be like 0 for 2, 0 for 4, 1 for 6 or something like that. The Preds penalty kill is being put out there a lot in some pretty tough opportunities, but they're making the most of it. And you got to give the credit. They're playing very, very well together as a group. You watch them and there's just so much structure. There's like a perfect mix of being aggressive to pressure the puck, but also disciplined enough so that you're not really breaking formation or allowing teams to get pucks into high danger opportunities. And then it also helps when Juuse Saros is playing lights out behind you too. So that has definitely been something positive for the Nashville Predators this year. If they can get that power play going, special teams, we talked about it last year. Special teams was a big reason the Predators wound up surprising a lot of people last year. So they have the penalty kill part down pretty well. And a few things you can clear up here and there, but if you can get that power play going, then all of a sudden the Predators are in that situation where special teams can win games again.
Yeah, special teams can be special, my friends. And Nashville's definitely on the right trajectory with the penalty kill. I agree. It's looked great. And one of my favorite things about the penalty kill is Yakov Trenin just pestering the Fire like a little annoying sibling as they try to bring the puck in. So I'm here for the penalty kill. We don't need to see it as much, just to be clear. But yeah. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses. Let's just be real. This week has not been all sunshine and roses. So let me just tackle a minus here before we get too ahead of ourselves. And for me, a huge minus right now with the Nashville Predators is inconsistency. And I get it. It's still early. We're still in the early part of the season. But I think the Predators are in a chunk of about 10 games this month of November where how they play right now is going to tell us a lot about who this team is. And, I'm okay. We're not going to win every game. Hopefully we're not going to lose every game. But it's the games where sometimes penalties are a huge problem for the Nashville Predators. But then another game, look at the Nashville Predators being able to play aggressive and not end up in the box as much. It's that inconsistency in things like penalties. It's inconsistency in performances for certain players. It's inconsistency, it's getting better, but we talked about Juuse Saros. It's a little bit frustrating that we're where we're at in the season, and I'm not 100% sure we have any idea who this Nashville Predators team is going to be. So if we're going to lose games, if this team is going to lose games, let's lose games for a new reason and not be for a reason that we thought we already fixed earlier. The inconsistency is a little bit maddening for me. It's like sleep training, like sleeping with an infant. Like you think they've got it. They know their nap time. They know their bedtime. They sleep through the night. And then all of a sudden they're waking up 3 and 4 times a night. And you wonder I thought we were done with this. It's a little bit what it feels like with the Predators right now.
Yeah, and it kind of plays that way on the score sheet too, because that Edmonton game, you look and there's like 3-point performances for guys like Roman Josi and Matt Duchene. And then you go back and watch the tape from the first period when they're on the ice against like Connor McDavid. And it's like, oh, wow, they were bad. Like bad.
Yes.
Like they may have scored, like they were on the score sheet double because they got 3 points and they also allowed 3 points. So there were 3 goals. So it's a little bit maddening there.
Yeah, there's some definite inconsistency problems with the Predators. I'm going to give you a chance in just a second to throw out your minus because we have to shoot straight here, on Locked On Predators. We're going to do that. And of course, we will end on a positive because we are, if nothing else, Hawktimists. But first, I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Predators your first listen today and every day. Now we want to encourage you to go and make your second listen Game to Game NHL. Game to Game NHL has every moment, every top performance, every result across the league. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. You can follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL. It is available on any podcasting platform where you get your podcast. It's available also on YouTube. Check it out, Game to Game NHL.
All right, Ann, I am going to give a -2. Slot defending for the Nashville Predators. This has been a poor point of contention because you look at some of these heat maps for the Predators this season, they are giving a lot of juicy chances right in that middle of the ice. Ironically enough, we're talking about how the Preds penalty kill was doing a good job of preventing that, but a 5-on-5, it's a little bit different of a story. There's a lot of breakdowns right now. We saw it a lot against Edmonton where it's just they were having their way, getting pucks right up against the net, right in the middle of the ice. You can't do that. And it doesn't matter which teams you play against. You can play against the Colorado Avalanche or Edmonton Oilers. You can play against the Arizona Coyotes. If you give good players that much space right in front of the net, you're going to lose that hockey game. You saw it against the Columbus Blue Jackets a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Columbus is looking like one of the worst teams in the NHL right now. They have all sorts of problems, but they put up they had a field day against the Nashville Predators scoring wise, and it was because the Predators let up big, juicy plays right in the middle of the ice. And it's disappointing because there's a lot of really good kind of physical defenders like Matthias Ekholm and Ryan McDonough, who are, kind of supposed to keep players out of there. He has big physical forwards like Tanner Jeannot and Yakov Trenin, who are supposed to keep players from going in there. So I don't know, watching some of these replays, like sometimes it's a player missing assignment. Sometimes it's just, kind of a structural breakdown. Like, teams are just finding really good ways to get in there. But it's something I think as a team, not singling out any, certain people or anything like that, but as a team, that's something the Preds have to clean up if they want any sort of semblance of success this season.
I agree. I always say the slot is not lava. Do not be afraid to go there.
If you're the other team, please.
If you're the other team. But if you are the Nashville Predators, get in there and clog that up. And I agree with you. I think they have made it way too easy on some of these teams recently to get these high danger chances. And as frustrating as, Juuse Saros may have been over the start of the game against Vancouver and the up and down with goaltending, you can't keep hoping that your goaltender is going to bail you out if you're going to give up these high danger chances like you're talking about. So I 100% agree. Like, let's pay attention. Pay attention.
Yeah. All right, Ann. We're optimists. We always like to, like Monty Python, like to look on the bright side of life. So let's end on a positive note. How about a couple of pluses?
All right. So I am going to go north to give a plus, and I'm going to give a plus to the Milwaukee Admirals. If you all, I know I'm so sorry, but we can talk about these guys for days if you want to, because if you are a Nashville Predators fan who is feeling extraordinarily frustrated with your team and their performance right now, I would like to invite you to enjoy the wonderful joy of watching the Milwaukee Admirals lately. They are tearing it up in the AHL. And they're doing it with great performances by a number of different players. For me, of course, I don't have a favorite. I love them all equally. But Yaroslav Askarov is doing well in net. He had a little bit of a rough start when he played his first couple games for Milwaukee, but has had some really good games lately. And look, the bottom line is there is nothing more fun than watching this young, delightful goaltender enjoying playing and playing well in the AHL. So the Admirals coming out looking great. You can watch them I get paid nothing for this, but you can watch them on AHL TV. And I am telling you, it is worth the subscription because it is so delightful to see these players kind of gaining some traction. You are going to have a little emotional hitch in the giddy up because, yes, you will be seeing Phil Tomasino playing in Milwaukee. So you have to emotionally prepare yourself for that. But he is also playing really well in Milwaukee. And overall, love what we're seeing with the Admirals. Such a delightfully fun thing to watch. So, but you tell me more about the Admirals because honestly, I could talk about them for days.
I will have to circle back with Eric Dene on this for his thoughts, but this might be the most fun Admirals team we have had in quite some time.
Yes.
I'm trying to think back to I would say mid 2000s when you had like Ryan Suter and Shea Weber and some of these younger players. But it's like you look and it's like all the players you want to do well this season are Luke Evangelista. We haven't talked about him a whole lot this year. We didn't really think he had a chance to make it out of camp, but he's on fire to start the year with 8 points in 9 games. We all know Phil Tomasino is absolutely on fire right now. 6 goals so far this season. You mentioned Askarov, kind of hit or miss so far, but he kind of will have just a kind of an average performance mixed in with 1 or 2 really good performances. But as a rookie, that's kind of as much you can hope for. And, you look and there's just like Juuso Parssinen and Marcus Sturman, young players like Adam Wilsby. There's a lot of players that you can realistically see being full-time members of the Nashville Predators in 2 or 3 years, all playing really good hockey right now. And then, of course, the Admirals have won 6 straight games after the slow start this season. This is one of the best AHL teams right now, and there are a lot of really good pieces for the Nashville Predators that, important, are all performing.
Yes, which, makes a huge difference. And, I want to point out, I think it was Luke Evangelista, and this is going off of memory. Luke Evangelista and Cole Schneider had a play in a game against the San Diego Gulls, I believe, and where they had like boom, pass, goal. I'm telling you, they are creating some things on the ice that are so exciting to watch. And I agree with you. I think you watch the Milwaukee Admirals. First of all, it's just fun hockey. I think they're having a really good time. They're having a lot of success. But it is so encouraging for the Nashville Predators to look at what is happening down in Milwaukee and seeing, like you said, some of these young players in 2 to 3 years, they're going to be vying for roster spots in Nashville. And I think it's pretty exciting, especially when sometimes things in Nashville may feel a little emotionally exhausting. My friends, lean into Carl Taylor and the Milwaukee Admirals because just little bundles of delight.
Yeah. And they also, thanks to him clearing waivers, now have Kiefer Sherwood, who was one of the AHL's best scorers last year. So there's a lot to like if you're a Nashville Predators fans in terms of your prospect pool, because there's a lot of guys on the Admirals, thanks to our buddy Carl Taylor, who are starting to look like very strong NHL players. I think that's a good place to end. A little shout out to the baby Preds.
Love the baby Preds.
So we will see what they can do this season. In terms of the big boys, the Nashville Predators, tomorrow they play the Seattle Kraken. We have a squad cast with Erica L. Ayala from the Locked on Kraken podcast. We're going to be talking about what to expect during that Seattle game, some keys to victory, and why it always seems like the Kraken just break the hearts of Preds fans everywhere and embarrass us to no end. So that is on tomorrow's show. And where can the people find your work?
You can find my work at InsideThePreds.com, and you can find me on Twitter at AnnK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at ontheforecheck.com. Follow me on Twitter at _NSMorgan. Also, be sure to follow the podcast at LO_Predators. Wherever you're listening to this, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on your favorite audio platform like Apple or Spotify, be sure to subscribe, leave us a rating, and hit notifications so you always know when we have new episodes out for you. That's going to do it for us on today's Locked on Predators podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow with some Preds Kraken preview. See you then.